Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special council meeting. This is open session, 7:58. Go. Yes, announcement from closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The two announcements from closed session. Item number 5, consideration of claim number FR 102723, claimant Maria Aguilar. The claim was rejected as incomplete, and the city has requested that 2 additional estimates be provided so that the claim can be considered complete. And that notice will be sent out to Ms. Aguilar. Item 4 has been continued to the end of the discussion and potential action items. So council will go back into closed session at that time on item 4. No further reportable actions, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so now we have item number 6, discussion and potential action items. Livingston, so item number 6, we have the Livingston element for multi-jurisdictional local roadway safety plan prepared by the Merced County Association of Governments. Staff recommendation approved to adopt.
What about now? Perfect. Good evening, Mayor, rest of council members, and community. Noe Martinez from the Office of the City Engineer. And just to give a quick background on this item, it is a regional, basically a regional roadway plan that was prepared by MCAG in collaboration with all of the county cities, member cities in the county. And the main purpose for preparing this plan is basically to become eligible for federal funding, specifically a couple of the programs that are listed here in the staff report, including the Safe Streets and Roads for All, or I think it's pronounced SS4A, and then the Highway Safety Improvement Program, which is the oldest of the two. This program, the Highway Safety, has been in place for a while, and these are programs that are administered by Caltrans, and they provide funding to local cities for improving roadways, specifically for addressing safety concerns. So MCAG has asked all of the member cities to adopt this plan, specifically the portion that pertains to each of the cities. And with this approval or adoption, the city will become eligible for the next round of funding that is going to become available here shortly. I think MCAG mentioned in the spring of this year. So it is important that it be adopted, so that way the city will have that flexibility to go after these funds if you choose to. And with that said, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Noe. Council, any questions about this item?
No, I looked at it and it addressed some of our concerns that we're already planning, like signalization at Campbell and all that. It's all in there.
Right.
And I've seen it, and I didn't read the other cities. I was more focused on us. And it seems like everything we talked about and needed is there.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I read through, well, pretty much some of it, but Livingston was also main focus. But I really like the way that MCAG put this together. I think it's very important. So in light of everything that's been happening in the city with traffic and accidents to that extent, yeah, I think that's something that we should do.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
again, shout out to Stacy and all the folks at MCAG for putting this together. I did see that for the projects that were listed for the city of Livingston, there's an estimated cost of just under 13 million. And so this makes us eligible for federal funding. And so the assumption is if we receive that funding, then we can start working on these projects. And if we were to work on them, that's what this estimated cost represents.
It's a budgetary level estimate at this point. Basically, what will happen is now that the plan has identified those projects, you can go ahead and basically now move to the more of the design preliminary stage where you can come up with more realistic numbers for an estimate based on actual designs. And yeah, you still got to go after those funds and be competitive. Yeah, so, but this plan allows you to do that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be eligible to go after this particular funds.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, council. So at this time, I will go out for, is there any additional questions right now? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I was particularly intrigued by figure 412 on page 240, where it highlighted F Street from Hammond all the way down F Street. That was quite a wide awakening after just recently what's happened.
All right, thank you. So at this time, I will go out for public comment. Is there anyone on the phone in regards to this item? Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'm bringing it back to the chamber at 8:05. Is there any questions, comments in the chamber?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, you said the chamber, sorry, my apologies.
Seeing none, closing the citizen comments at 8:05. Bringing it back to the dais. He's still learning.
I was going to say if there's no further questions, I was going to make the motion to approve.
Council, if there's no additional questions, comments, I have a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Roth. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Councilmember Opal?
Yes.
Councilmember Wallace?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Moran?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Next, we have item number 7, considering a resolution to accept the bid and award a contract to Quality Well Drillers, Inc. for the Test Well 18 project and authorize the Finance Department Assistant City Manager to execute the agreement. Staff recommendation, approve resolution.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. Anthony Chavarria, Public Works. Staff report you have before you, Council, is staff asking for approval from Council on approving a change order to Well 17 for additional repairs.
We're on
We're on
number
seven.
number 7. Sorry.
Well, 18, yeah.
You're a little excited. Just give him the hit.
Jumped a little ahead of myself there. Mario's going to get this one.
I was just going to ask, because I saw prepared by Mario Govea.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. Mario Govea, City Engineer. As Anthony was mentioning, yeah, we're looking for awarding this project, which is the first step in getting Well 18 built. So this is for the test well. It was it was advertised and bids were open on the 4th, I believe. So we did receive 4 bids, and the lowest responsive and responsible bid came from Water Well Drillers, which is a well-known local well driller, and that's for $117,700. So assuming we get this awarded, the next step will be to get with the driller, give them a notice of award, see when they can start the work, and then move forward with doing this test well. We will establish where the water-bearing strata is, and we'll sample those stratas, and we'll have to do some Title 22 testing for water quality, and then establish where we're going to put the perforations for the well, and then we'll start the design of the actual production well after that. So this is the first step.
All right, thank you, Mario. Council, any questions at this time?
Just one.
Yes, go ahead.
Assuming everything goes on time and as planned, like, and let's just estimate ballpark, but when do you think we can expect to have the well fully online?
The production, the actual production.
Actual
well,
production, yeah,
the
online.
actual production, well, I think we have mid 27 as the target for that.
That's it. Thank you.
Sure.
And so just real quick, and I know that just for future reference and for people that are watching for the first time and they're hearing about this process. So this process, just to drill the well, it would be how long roughly? And so for this first step, how long will it take?
The actual work will take probably a month or so. But before they get going, after today, we'll issue a notice of award, then we have to sit down with the contractor, get pre-construction going, and then you have to fit it in their schedule within reason, obviously, and then get it going. Once you get it going, you got about a month of work. The testing, this Title 22 testing, is taking about 3 weeks at the lab. So it has nothing to do with the drillers at the lab. And then after that, then we'll start the design for the production.
And then that's when you bring it back and figure out, let council know what are the levels of, what are the, what was the findings, and then council can figure out.
We'll keep the council informed as we find what constituents are in there. You likely will have TCP, all the wells in Livingston have TCP. So you may have other things like arsenic, like we found out with 8A, but we'll find out once we do this Title 24 testing analysis.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Look, after you, go ahead, please.
I was going to ask for questions or comments.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Mario, I would be really helpful to the council that I know you're going to issue a word of notice, depending on how this goes, obviously, probably this week. If you could update the council through the city manager's office, how, hey, a ward has been notified, and hey, we had our meeting, they're going to kind of give council status updates where we're at. Hey, we met with if it's approved, that said that they're going to start the process this particular date, and hey, we got it, it's out to the lab, just so everybody knows where we're at in the process. Makes it easier.
Absolutely. We'll do that.
Thank you. So at this time, I will go out for public comment. Is there anyone on the phone at 8:11? Anyone on the phone? Hearing none, is there any public comment in the chamber? Seeing none, closing the public comment at 8:11, bringing it back to our dais. Is there any additional questions, motions to approve?
If there's no comments from anybody, I make the motion, we adopt the resolution awarding the contract to Quality Well Drillers and authorize the finance director, City Manager, to execute the agreement.
So we have a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Wallace. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Councilmember Opal?
Yes.
Councilmember Wallace?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Moran?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 8, considering a resolution authorizing the finance director, assistant city manager to execute a change order from the original purchase order for Shannon Pump Company to install a new well shaft and necessary components to well 17 in an amount not to exceed $39,302.40. And number 2, authorizing the finance department to make a supplemental appropriation to fiscal year 2024-2025 budget in the amount of $39,302.40 to the Water Enterprise Fund. Staff recommendation, approve resolution. Anthony, this is yours. Welcome
All right,
back.
let's try this one more time. Good evening, Council. Anthony Chavarria, Public Works. A little bit of background on the staff report you have before you. Staff report was presented to the City Council on February 4th. Approval was granted for the initial repairs of well 17. The amount designated for these repairs was not to exceed $102,591.94. At that time, it was noted that the well had not yet been pulled for comprehensive inspection, which left some uncertainty regarding potential additional cost. Following the detailed inspection conducted by Shannon Pump Company, after the well was pulled, it became evident that the shaft and bearings were in poor condition and should be replaced. As a result, a change order amounting to $39,302.40 has been proposed to cover the associated cost with replacing the shaft and bearings. Open to any questions if council has any.
One question before I open it for the rest of the council. So we are looking to use and spend the 102,591 at this point?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. All right, council, any other questions at this time? So I will go out for public comment. Anyone on the phone at 8:14? Any questions, comments? Anyone on the phone? Seeing none, bringing it back into the chamber. Is there any citizen comments in the chamber? Seeing none, closing the citizen comments at 8:14, bringing it back to the dais. One more question. So this funding would come from, the additional funding would come directly from where?
It'll come from the water enterprise.
Okay, from where?
Water enterprise.
Okay, wait. So it's going to come now. So it would go into the water enterprise, but it will come from the reserves, correct?
Yes, the funds will come from the water enterprise reserves.
Okay, from the water enterprise reserves.
Correct.
Okay,
Just to be clear, that's funds that are already existing in that water enterprise fund. Yeah, okay, yeah.
perfect. Thank you. Is there any other questions? All right, is there a motion on the floor?
I will make the motion to approve the resolution authorizing the finance director to execute the change order to Shannon for 39,3002 and authorize the finance department to make supplemental appropriations to fiscal 24-25 budget in amount of 39,3002.40 to the water enterprise fund.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Councilmember Opal?
Yes.
Councilmember Wallace?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Mayor Moran?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you, council.
Next, we have item
Mr. Mayor,
number,
before you, Anthony, I know we're already done, but also when the pump comes back online, could you let the council know, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you. Item number 9, we have in-person Brown Act workshop. So this is, once again, this was for discussion to consider for council to consider and plan for an in-person Brown Act workshop for City Council, Planning Commission, and Parks, Recreation, and Arts Commission. And at this time, okay. So I know that normally when we have new council members, there's certain trainings, some workshops that need to be done. I know for myself, I think I need to, it's been 2 years, so if we're going to provide it for one or two of us, we should provide it for other new commissioners. I know that we have new commissioners in recreation, maybe, and new commissioners in planning. So this would be a good opportunity to be able to provide it for everyone. And if it's in person, I think it would be much better. It just, personally, I learn more in person than on Zoom. But I will open up for questions, comments. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, to me, just a clarification, maybe the wording, it says in-person Brown Act workshop. Does that also include ethics, ABC, and all that? And
So
I was wondering if it can be all done at the same time, you know?
I would suggest that we split them up, and the reason being is the AB 1, 2, 3, 4 training is a mandatory 2-hour training. And so it would probably be ideal to have like the Brown Act workshop and the AB 1, 2, 3, 4 training done on different days, just, or else, you know,
Or you
council and everybody's gonna be here for a long day.
Okay.
So I would suggest splitting them up into different days.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Quick question, if you do it online, you do not have to attend unless that law is changed. You can do it online.
Yeah, no, there's no requirement that you have to attend AB 1234 training in person. Our firm offers the AB 1234 training either in person or via Zoom. It's we offer that to our clients at their choosing.
In the cost, if we do it in person, if we set it up through the council? So we haven't estimated what it's going to cost?
It's the same cost whether we do it online or whether we do it in person. We just charge our hourly rate for the time of the training.
Okay.
So if it's a 2-hour training, it'd be the price of 2 hours of legal services.
Thank you.
And, yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to comment, Mr. Mayor. I agree with you, it is more effective having the Brown Act. When I first got on planning, we did that, and it was just a lot easier. And then I also agree with AB 1234 to do the same thing. Thank you.
Yes. And so could we consider and look at our calendars to see when we would be able to look at least a couple of our potential dates that we can work with, so staff can also work with, and FYI, the commissions, so that they can also have the opportunity to participate.
Yeah, is it possible to send out, because we're asking for planning and parks, because we need to hear from their dates, so everybody just send their available dates and it's gonna, because if we say, hey, we're checking our calendars, but we don't know if their calendars are.
I would suggest, I agree with that. I would suggest looking at dates where we have already scheduled Planning Commission and or Parks and Recs Commission meetings and adding this onto maybe the agenda for that as a joint workshop. Would not want to add it on one of our agendas just because we don't know if folks are going to be available and we're already going too long as it is. And so if we add it onto one of those dates, we know that at least one of those commissions is already planning to meet, and then we can check in to see if the other folks can accommodate.
Yeah, perfect.
So I do believe that the Planning Commission will meet on the 11th of March, and the Recreation will meet on the 27th, if I'm correct.
That's also, what is the 27th? What date is that?
It's a Thursday, fourth Thursday of the month.
But, yeah, I might have a conflict. with
Yeah, Thursday is not a good day for me, so Tuesday, any other days but Thursdays.
So Tuesday, can we shoot for Tuesday the 11th, which is the Planning Commission?
I would be unavailable that day. I have a council meeting that night, but I could check with Shannon in our office and see. He also does the AB 1234 training, and he might be available that night. I can check with him. But we can tentatively say yes to that date, and I'll see if Shannon's available.
How long you think, and I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, through you, of course. Quick question for Roy. The Brown Act, how long do you think that would take?
I would say probably no longer than an hour, maybe hour and a half at the most. We don't want to go.
And then become,
Yeah,
okay.
Your eyes would glaze over.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So one of the advantages is that planning starts at 6, let's say that at 5 or 7? It is 7? Okay.
No, I think it's 6.
We got 2 planning commissioners.
Or maybe if we have Happy work with staff and send out one of those, yeah, surveys with like 5, 6 different dates and see which date most of the attendees are able to work with that date, and then we just go with that with the majority. So that'll probably be one of the best ways, just to make sure that we get most of the people to participate, I think, at this point, if that's okay with you guys.
Are you wanting this in March or April?
Well, personally, I think that the sooner the better. That way we don't have the excuse of saying, oh, I wasn't trained. You know, oh, oops, I just made a mistake and, nobody told me. But, probably some dates in March and a few in April.
Okay.
But preferably the sooner the better. And then should we consider sending out 2 surveys, one for Brown Act and then the other one for AB 1234, right? I think. All right, council, anything else? I think we got direction. Got it, thank you. Item number 11, item number 11, so item number 10 was moved over for the next meeting on the 18th. Item number 11, consideration of a resolution authorizing Finance Director, Assistant City Manager to execute agreement with HR Green, Inc. to perform engineering services to include water modeling, development of a water comprehensive capital improvement program, CIP, and other water-related engineering services as needed.
So council, this was an item that was brought to council back on April 16th of 2024, where the motion failed by a vote of 2-2, and the mayor had requested to bring this item back for discussion in detail.
Thank you. So this item was also in having a conversation with Councilmember Upal, requested to also consider bringing this back. And considering we have a lot of work, the city has a lot of work in front of us. And so when this item was brought back, and just to confirm, this HR Green was notified of the intent for us to bring it back, and then this was, they would make themselves available if needed, right?
Yes, we did have staff reach out to them because we needed to get an updated quote from them, so they did provide an update quote for us.
Okay, thank you. Council, are there any questions at this time?
I have one, Mr. Mayor. Is there a reason that we need to bring on another engineering company?
Okay.
How did we come up with, because this was before my time, even last year, how did we pick, or who picked this company? How was that?
So if you look at the background information, there's things that need to be done in time for us to be able to move forward and look at see where we're at exactly. And we have some items that have been approved by the council to move forward, and we have to be able to have a better direction on where we need to be long term. So and at that time, when this was presented and brought to council, there was a consideration that we needed it to have additional support within the engineering items that we had in the books, and that is one of the main reasons of why it was brought to council, because we needed additional support, not being able to have to be able to support our current city engineer firm, in addition to the work that they were working on at that time. So it's just to make this work faster and provide the things that we need in the city to be able to get things done faster in a faster way. Council, is there any other questions, comments at this time before I go out for public comment? So at 8:29, I will go out for public comment. Is there any public comment or questions on the phone, 8:29? Hearing none, coming back to the chamber. Is there any citizen comments in the chamber?
Good evening, council. After last meeting, 5-hour meeting that I came, I didn't think I was going to come back right away, but yeah, here I am. Anyway, well, I was just had a concern here with this engineering, hiring a separate engineer when we have a good engineer already, I think. In the past, you know, when I was here, I think some of the city managers that come in try to hire sometimes other attorneys. I know this is not related to attorney, but I'm trying to relate this to the attorney. If he were to hire another attorney to do the same work that you have with an attorney, he would be mad. So to me, that's being kind of like disloyal to your attorney, because it's like, well, you know, you have an attorney. If you need other services, he would get that support. So, you know, he just call another attorney firm and, through him, because they know plenty. And right now, you know, in my eyes, you're doing the same thing as an engineering firm, that you're trying to hire another engineer without having the assistance when you have a current engineer in the city. So that, to me, that's disrespect, in my opinion, from seeing. You know, this is a long-term experience on me. I know that you guys, you know, have been here for a few years. And so that's what I see is you already have an engineer. If you need more assistance, he'll gladly hire out. The attorney will hire out right away. If you don't like an engineer, if you don't like an attorney, then he shouldn't be there. But right now, you know, like I said, I think the attorney and engineer are doing a good job, I imagine. So, you know, just go through the engineer and he'll gladly, you know, hire it out. That's what he does. You know, he needs more assistance, he'll get more help. That's just my opinion, and so hopefully you guys make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional citizen comments in the chamber? Seeing none, bringing it back to the dais at 8:31. I think you're right, you know, and it's not, I think I would be wrong to say that if that we're doing this because we're not happy with or that we're upset, or that he should get upset, or anybody should get upset. I would do the same thing with Mr. Roy if that was the case. You know, if he's not doing the job to our what we're expectation, or if he has too much work, I don't have a problem finding somebody else that would assist him in the work that we need as the city, because we have to do it and think of the city, not what, you know. I don't see why someone should be getting upset, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to move the city forward in the best way that we think is possible. You know, being in this perspective, a lot of times it's unfortunate that, you know, and I think you should know because you have a lot of experience, and there's things that not everybody knows. So, you know, so it's difficult to say that, and there should be no way, in my opinion, that anybody should be getting upset. And our purpose, and at least not my purpose, is to get anybody upset. And, you know, I have no problems having conversations with anybody, and that should be the expectation from council and the entire council. But in no way, shape, or form, this is a decision to get anybody upset, just to be able to make sure that is cleared. All right, thank you. Council, anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, may I comment?
Yes, go ahead.
So I had previously requested an item to discuss the need for additional capacity to move along some of our projects. It's been made clear to me that there's lots of projects in the city that aren't moving forward at the speed at which they need to be. And so I wanted to have that discussion about capacity. As it relates to HR Green specifically, there's an assumption, underlying assumption with approving this resolution that these services are not being adequately provided by our current engineering firm. And while I am the one that requested we discuss the additional need for capacity, I'll be transparent and say that I do not have a firm conclusion on what I feel the gap is in us not moving our projects forward, whether that's on the council side or on the staff side. And so while I'm open to bringing on additional engineering capacity, if we come to the conclusion that additional engineering capacity is needed, at this point in time, I don't think I have a firm opinion on that to move forward with this. However, what I will say to the council is projects are not moving forward at the rate that they need to be. And of course, there have been issues with city manager turnover. City's been through a lot in the last few years, which have slowed things down. But like the mayor said, there's a lot of things that not everybody knows. I think there's still a lot that needs to be hashed out in putting this whole thing together. And I would strongly encourage the council to get all of the facts together to our best ability possible, identify the gap, make sure we're all in consensus about what that gap is. And if that gap is the need for engineering capacity, then we say we will bring on engineering capacity. And if that gap is something else, even if it's us lacking in our role, then we do what we need to do. So I would not like to move forward on approving this tonight. However, I am open to bringing this back if we decide that there is a gap in engineering. But I would like us to get all the facts together first, have a firm consensus, and then take it from there.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Councilmember Upal Japi that city went through some tough times. Different things happen. To single out any particular group, individual, somebody is not genuine here. I think we had at one time, I had requested and that the council also get together to have a workshop regarding setting goals and priorities. Here's our goals are, that way staff is understanding what needs to be done, along with public works, engineering. Everybody knows this is our priorities and we hold them to it. If the council's not giving clear direction on our priorities are, it becomes very cumbersome or makes it very difficult for others to try to figure out what is the priority or what we can do. So I would like to not move forward with this at this time either, but also do set up a workshop so we can set goals and priorities. And just like I requested earlier regarding the test wells, and that I think it would benefit the council from through the city manager's office and through all departments, that the council get regular updates. Engineers forward something and says, here's the projects, here we're at, or here is what you had requested, here's where we're at. We need to, if you're not getting that information, then we need to make the appropriate decision. But we also need to make sure that we also give resources that allow them to do the work. If we're asking them to do the capital improvement projects, is there money to even move forward with that? If there isn't, why are we spinning our wheels? So this needs to be a lot more clarification. So thank you, Japjit. I'm glad that I know you're learning, but thank you. That was very well stated on your part. And we need to move forward with that as well, as far as workshops and then make a decision. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Just to piggyback on that, that was going to be an item that I wanted to put on future agenda. So, just saying.
Mr. Mayor?
The goal-setting workshop, yes.
Mr. Mayor?
May I comment really quickly first, Mr. Wallace?
Upal, go ahead first.
As it relates specifically to the goal-setting stuff, I think that kind of piggybacks off of the item that's already on for 12. I think that could translate into that. We'll get to that when we're there. However, I do want to make clear to the council, while I am not wanting to approve this tonight, I want us to very clearly identify what our gaps are, and then whatever we decide those gaps are, be aggressive about if it's engineering, if it's adding position elsewhere, if it's us doing our jobs better, that we move forward in that direction, even if that means investing a little bit more at this time to save in the future for not being behind on our projects.
Mr. Wallace?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. I have two questions. Can the current engineering company do everything that H.R. Green says it can? And then on H.R. Green's cover letter, on page 450 of your book, it is assumed the city has existing water analysis in GIS format. Well, how are we going to award that if we don't even know if the city has that? Because I don't. And then the third one down is the third indentation. It is assumed this information will be gathered and summarized by the city and provided to H.R. Green. Well, that's, what if we don't have that, then their rights are not going to be accurate. So my first question is, can the current engineering company do exactly what H.R. Green wants to charge us? Secondly, do we have these two things they're assuming that we have? Because I don't know. Does anybody on the council know if we have those?
I think the engineering firm would have to put that together for them.
Yes, please come forward.
Yeah, there's some assumptions here. Mario Gouveia again, city engineer. On your GIS question, the city does not have a GIS system to start with, so that's a fatal statement there. I'm not sure how they received that. I could guess, but I'm not going to do that. And on the question, it appears that the two big items that the scope revolves around is a water modeling and doing a water CIP. And we do those all the time, so yeah, we are able to do that. If that's what the city wants to do a model for, we can do a model. The model is not going to get you what you think it's going to get you. There's water assessments that have been done. You know what your capacity is already. Water models are normally done when you do a master plan. So they're not cheap, as you can see here. And then the CIP, the city does not have a CIP, by the way. There's, 3-year CIP has been, the city has a list of projects. It's not a CIP. There's water CIPs that can be done. The city at this point has a pretty good idea what it needs for water. The reason that projects are not moving forward, and it's just the water ones, by the way, and I would love to, as I have mentioned in the past, to present the entire council with fact. So if you want a CIP for water only or for the whole, so normally you do water, sewer, storm, city, streets, parks. That's what a CIP is. If you want to do just a water CIP, we can do just a water CIP. At this point, a water CIP would basically tell you what you already know. That you do need wells, you do need storage, you do need, ultimately you're going to need surface water. All of that has been in the works, actually has been presented to the council. Why is it not moving forward? Because these are all through grants, and the grants with SRS, clean, drinking water SRF. And these are, the scopes have been changed a lot. I have put actually an outline together of chronology of facts that I would love to present to the council. So the short answer is yes, we can do that. And yes, we do it all the time. And no, you do not have a GIS. You're welcome.
Council, are there any other questions? right, so at this time, if there's no additional questions or comments, what is the desire of the council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes, go ahead.
or actually, no, I'll save it for after it's for legal. Thank you.
Okay, so any motions, anything that the council wants to do with this item?
Apologies, had questions for the attorney, but no motions or
Okay.
further action requested at this time. Thank you.
All right, so based on no motions, no additional questions, this item dies, or just basically there's nothing. All right, thank you. So next we have item number 12, requesting the scheduling of two or three town hall meetings for the year 2025. So once again, this is just an item for discussion and direction. And as some of you guys previously mentioned, not necessarily a town hall meeting, but this could be separately a goals and priorities workshop separately by itself, because maybe we want to have a town hall meeting specifically just to listen to anything from the residents, and I believe we need to have a goals and priorities workshop separately, and that. Would we be able to talk about a goals and priorities workshop now, or it needs to be brought back later because it's not specifically agendized?
Yeah, unfortunately, right now, what we can just talk about is the actual scheduling of those town halls. A little bit of the generally what the substance is, but we can't get into much more detail than that.
All right, so with that, let's focus on just the town hall meetings. I think 2 or 3. I know that I seen how some other cities have been, have done some of them. I think in the past, I'm not sure I don't know. I don't remember. I know that I had a couple of town hall meetings, not necessarily town hall meetings, but just meetings, here in the chambers as the mayor. I think also as a council member, and just people just come in and just meet with them and listen to their concerns. A town hall meeting should be with all of the council and then directors and city staff, and just allow people to show up and ask questions. And then also one of the other things, another idea that that I saw another city doing with town hall meetings was have a town hall here in the chambers, and then possibly consider another one at a different location, like at a school or a church hall, or where people already feel comfortable attending to. So I don't know. It's just so this item is just here just for discussion and see what you guys think.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Town hall, I think it's a good idea. I think a lot of times people have difficulty attending meetings in the evenings because they got home from work, they got to make dinner, they got to put the kids to bed. Maybe it can be done on a Saturday during the day where there may be more flexible timing for the people.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So could we possibly break it down like quarterly, and then, Paul's idea was great on the weekend, or otherwise have them during the weekend here, and then the next one pick a spot. Quarterly, I think, is good.
Mr. Mayor, may I jump in real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
I think quarterly is a fantastic idea, just in the sense of having a routine time period for folks to follow up. However, while I know we can't give direction on strategic planning workshops, I would like to make this suggestion now. So I've been in Merced a lot recently. They're currently in the process of developing their citywide strategic plan. And I really like the model that they did. And the mayor already mentioned a couple of their points. They started off with 2 to 3 town hall meetings, 3 specifically, 1 in council chambers, 1 at Merced High, 1 at Chenoweth Elementary, 2 at schools. And then all the feedback they take from the community on those dates, that directly informs the strategic planning process, where the first phase is, this is what the community said they want. Now let's work this into our strategic plan. And so what I would suggest is we do 2 to 3, but within a short time frame to help us kick off a formal strategic planning process. Because like you said, we lack that right now, and there's lack of direction on how we go about managing and running our city. And so I would propose that for these town halls, we schedule them within 1 to 3 weeks of another. That's how Merced did it. And if we are going to do a formal strategic plan, we can't wait quarterly for 2 to 3 town hall meetings. However, what I would say is if we could get quarterly ones on the schedule, generally speaking, I think that's a great system to set in place, just so that when we're not strategic planning, there's still an opportunity for the community to come in and express their needs. But that would be my suggestion, is 2 to 3 town hall meetings, 1 in council chambers, potentially at a church or a school for the others, within 2 to 3 weeks of another, so that we could use it to kick off a strategic planning process.
So how about we have staff connect with, well, first look at some potential locations, like for instance, if we have here, what would be the day that Chambers is available, based on everything else that's going on in here? And then also consider, possibly, I don't know, if possible, a school that we can attend. And then staff can look into that, what the possibilities might be, because we can now plan and then not really knowing the availability. And then if staff can consider a third location for a third meeting, if not, we can always have it back here. So if we can allow staff maybe like, I don't know, realistically thinking, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks for staff to come up with dates and locations for council, and then send it to council, and then just kind of go from there. Does that sound?
That sounds great. Roy, I have a question for you, unless you have a comment to make on that point first.
Well, I was just going to make one suggestion that since council is kind of discussing the town halls and generally strategic planning, one thing that I have a client that's in the process of setting this up right now. The council may think about retaining a facilitator for your strategic planning. I know a lot of my clients have found that very beneficial. It helps kind of guide things and keeps things from getting bogged down. But it's a suggestion, and it just came to my mind because I have a client that's they're scheduling their strategic planning meeting right now. So it was just fresh in my mind.
And with that, do you mean potentially bringing on a consultant as the facilitator?
Yeah, it would just be somebody that basically does, they kind of do this for a living. I've had clients that have done it without a facilitator, and then ended up bringing a facilitator in the next time they went back and found it far more beneficial. Like I said, having that person that is the figurehead to drive it, especially not, it enables all of the elected officials to focus on the strategic planning instead of like one getting kind of bogged down in managing the progression of the session. It puts that burden onto somebody else.
I like the idea. However, I will let the council know now that I am happy to be that person if we don't bring a facilitator on. I'm really excited about this. I've already actually started putting together my own just ideas on a document before we get into this, but thank you for that, Roy. The question that I had is, I like the way they did it in Merced. Folks come up, they have 3 minutes to comment, and then unlike our general public comment period, the council at that point can directly respond, and they let anybody from the council say something back to the public if they'd like to. Can we agendize and structure it in that manner as well so that we can actually respond to folks when they come in?
We can. The town hall is agendized a little bit differently. It is still agendized as a regular meeting of the council in order to comply with the Brown Act. But the structure can be a little bit looser because we wouldn't actually be considering items or acting on any items. It's really a time for discussion.
I think that's great. One criticism that folks have had of just elected bodies as a whole, and even when I first showed up to my first couple council meetings, I'm like, we're asking you something, why aren't you answering? And it's just not knowing that that gap exists. So I think it's really beneficial for folks to come in, say something, and then have us respond to them right away. Folks feel like they're being heard, and I think there's a lot of progress to be made there. Thank you.
So, what does council want to do in regards to a facilitator? Because if we don't give direction,
Yeah. That's a really good point. I didn't think about it. I'm trying to remember if we had a facilitator last time when we had we did. I think we did, Esther. We did. Because we did all that downtown stuff through planning. Yeah. I remember we did have it may be worthwhile to have a facilitator.
so yes, I do agree that it would be very helpful because, they'll be able to, they're the professionals in that area, and they'll be able to guide or continue moving, getting the conversation moving instead of, kind of being all over the place and not really getting anywhere specifically. So if the majority of council agrees to give direction to staff to look into that and then consider a facilitator that might be available, well, first we got to look at the dates, locations, and then for their availability for those dates as well before brought over to council.
Would that be something that we'd go out to RFP for? Like, would it be one of those types of?
It's a professional service, so it's not required, but the council can, if it so chooses. Typically, in these kind of situations, we at least we go out and typically get 3 different bids, so to speak, or 3 different quotes on the cost of the service, so that council has individuals to choose from, and if council isn't happy with the 3, we could do more than 3, or the first batch isn't, someone doesn't stand out, we could always go back and pick for more, or we can do it as an RFP process.
Thank you.
Quick question, Mr. Mayor. Are we going to try and get this done before summer vacation? So if we're looking for a facility, we're looking at this is basically March, so we're going to be looking for probably May before everybody disappears for the summer. Would that be a logical assumption, or what does the council think on that? Is that going to be too quick, or?
Well, I'm hoping it's just the sooner the better. It's really, right now, we're depending on staff for them to come back to us and figure out, what's available and provide those dates, but I'm hoping that it should be sooner rather than later.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking, but then again, we have to let them do their searching, research based on, then we can go from there, I think.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
Just, the last time we had this, it was a while ago, and there was a doctor that did it, and I think we invited like business owners and managers and GMs and things like that. Is that something that we'd be doing this time?
Are you talking about the strategic planning workshop?
Correct.
Yeah, so I think ideally that would be one of the goals, to invite specifically, them or that certain groups, but specifically also going out to the entire community. But yes, I think that would be the goal.
Thank you.
And then, so we should wait, yes, you're gonna come back, or staff will come back to us with some potential dates. All right, council, anything else on this item at this point? No? Okay. So next we have, so before we adjourn, so just to let everybody know, more than likely, the first meeting of March will be canceled, and that's why we wanted it to have some of those items tonight, and there will be more information coming. And meeting adjourned at 8:58, and then we're gonna go into closed session real quick. Yes,
Yeah, so the meeting is not adjourned, wouldn't be adjourned yet, but we're going to adjourn into closed session.
all right, yes, thank you for clarifying that. We'll be back. All right, we're back. It's 9:20, and Mr. Santos?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No reportable action at this time. That was it for closed session. Thank you.
Thank you. So once again, the first meeting in March is going to be canceled, and meeting is adjourned at 9:21. Good night, everyone.